All right. Well, the webinar has started officially. So good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us on this Friday morning. Yay, it's Friday. It's almost the weekend. Although for most of us in aviation that work shift work, that doesn't always mean the same thing, I suppose. Anyway, so I'm really excited today for this session. We're doing airports behind the scenes in our Atlantic portion of the virtual cross-country tour for Elevate Aviation. So I'm coming to you from Edmonton, but we have people from all over the East Coast with us today. So very excited for that. We've got a great lineup with amazing careers to share with everyone that's watching today. I would do a quick land acknowledgement just as I am coming from Edmonton. So of course for me, that land acknowledgement is based on Edmonton. So I am located within Treaty 6 territory within the Métis Homelands and Métis Nation of Alberta Region 4. All right, so Elevate Aviation, for those of you that do not know, is a non-for-profit organization that helps women, youth, and underrepresented groups to thrive and succeed through careers in aviation. Elevate has programs all across Canada that educate people about aviation careers and provide support to those who need it. You can view all of our programs on our website at www.elevateaviation.ca. There, you will find information on the Elevate Aviation Learning Center, mentorship programs, bursaries, airtime webinars, and of course, this year's cross-country tour. The cross-country tour started back in 2015, to showcase so many careers because we felt that there just wasn't enough information out there about so many of the great jobs available to those in aviation. This year, we're of course doing our tour virtually. We hope you enjoy the presentation today, and please ask as many questions as you possibly can. We love questions. You can add them into the chat feature there on Zoom, as well as at the end of this, we'll have a question and answer period. So ask questions throughout. We'll have a few after each presentation, and then my dear friend Shelly, over as our moderator today, she will be running the question period at the end of this. So please keep those questions coming. So to start off, I will do a quick introduction of myself. My name is Sophia Wells, and I'm a part of the Elevate Senior Leadership Team. I'm the Director of Mentorship and Community Engagement, and I'm super excited to actually even say that the fun fact about me is I got involved because I got coerced into being a part of the Elevate calendar. So outside comfort zone number one. So to the ladies that are getting comfy speaking today, I've been there, I get that feeling. So please make sure that our women feel very excited and supported today. So without any further ado, enough stuff about me. We're going to start off with an incredible career today. I love hearing about this and seeing, again, aviation, and now throwing in not only just an aviation career, but also a different male-dominated career as a firefighter. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Andrea. Floor is yours.
All righty. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Landry, and I'm a firefighter at the Halifax International Airport. I've been a full-time firefighter since 2007, so about 15 years now, and I've only been at the airport for the past 3 years. Before that, I was in the military. If you love fitness, being active, not interested in working the traditional 9-to-5 job and doing some really cool stuff, firefighter could be a great career path for you. Next slide. All right, so let's get in. Today, I'll give you a brief explanation of what ARF is, some employment requirements that you need in order if you want to become a firefighter. I'll give you a fire hall tour, and I'll talk a little bit about the work schedule and the manning and emergencies that we respond to, possible emergencies that we can respond to. Next slide. All right, just let me move this for a second. Aircraft rescue firefighting, so we call it ARF. What does ARF mean? ARF is a type of firefighting that involves responding to emergencies in aviation accidents and incidents. A fuel spill, a helicopter crash, or an accident, or an aircraft with brakes overheating or hot brakes are all examples of possible scenarios to activate an emergency response. Airport firefighters have specialized training and qualifications that ensure they know how to respond to aircraft emergencies. So basically, a firefighter in downtown Halifax won't have this qualification that we have. That's an additional qualification that you would need to work at an airport. Next slide. Employment requirements. So in order to become a firefighter, you need to complete a completion of secondary school. After that, you need a completion of a college program. So there's programs or schools all over the Maritimes and Canada you can go to get your firefighter level 1 and 2. Basically, that's your introduction to firefighting and learning basic skills, and level 2 is a more specific and more detailed course. You also need your aircraft rescue firefighting and any additional other courses like hazmat technician, high angle, low angle rescues are all different courses that you can do to help gain more experience within the whole firefighting trade. Another important qualification you need to have, you need some kind of medical background. So you can do an emergency medical responder course, or you can become a paramedic and then work towards becoming a firefighter. Experience as a volunteer firefighter may be maybe used as an advantage for you. And most importantly, I would say physical fitness, having the agility, the strength, is what's really gonna push you to become a competent firefighter. Next slide. So the fire hall tour. The above photo, not a lot of people know this, but these are what we call our crash rescue truck. It's specifically designed for an airport to respond to incidents involving aircraft. It holds a lot more water than a typical firefighter truck that you would see going around the city. And two main parts on this truck would be your turrets. They're like basically two big water guns that are controlled with joysticks. The bottom photo is our pumper. It's a typical structural engine that you would see going around the city. It holds a lot less water, about 3,000 liters of water, when the crash truck would hold anywhere from 6,000 liters to 11,000 liters of water. The fire truck on the bottom is the truck that we would use when responding to medical emergencies. So it would hold all our medical gear, and it would hold all our rescue gear if there's I don't know, a fender bender or some kind of motor vehicle accident outside the terminal building or around the airport. Next slide. So the next few slides will be a few photos, just showing you what my fire station looks like. All fire halls usually have an alarm room. So that would be the bottom photo there. That's where someone answers the phone, gathers all the information, and sends out the team and tells them where exactly the emergency is. You have truck bays, you have a maintenance room. The top photo here would represent our training area plus our crew room where they want to check emails or do look up stuff, I don't know, some training opportunities, I guess, online. Next slide. The photo on the left will be where we keep all our bunker gear. So whenever we're done, when we start our shift, we take our bunker gear and bring it to our truck so that it's readily available. But then when it's time to go home, we bring our gear back and just let it dry out, air out, and keep it all stored in one spot. The picture on the right would be our compressor room. That's where we fill all our oxygen tanks in a safe environment so that it's just designated just for that. Next slide. The picture on the left would be our day room. That's where we just chill out and relax. If we have an emergency or anything, we can just come back here and just chill. Our table, our kitchen, we do work 24-hour shifts, so we have a space that we can kind of be at home. We're there for so long that we just we can make our own meals and have a coffee and everything with all the guys. Next slide. Every fire hall has a washer and dryer. It's a domestic one, that would be the white ones. Plus we have industrial washers and dryers in case we get our bunker gear soiled and we need to clean it, we have that on site so we can do a quick wash if we need to. And also because we are spending 24 hours at a fire hall, we each have a bunk room where we sleep, and yeah, we can just wait for an emergency, I guess. Next slide. Every fire hall also has offices. So our platoon chief of the day, he would have a space where he can work or fill out paperwork and do all the maintenance paperwork if there is any of that day. And that's just the picture on the right would just be the bumper, like just a closer view of the bumper turrets. The one on the bottom would be the bumper turret, and the one on the top would be a roof turret. So they're, like I said before, it would just be 2 jumbo water guns that are controlled by a joystick. And I believe the next photo, next slide. This would be the interior of one of the crash trucks. So you have 2 joysticks there, so many buttons. You can turn on equipment, you can turn on generators, you can maneuver the turrets. The radios are there to talk to the tower when we're responding to an emergency, and talk to all the other fire trucks as well. Next slide. So our work schedule, we have 24/7 coverage at an airport. We work 24 hours a day, and then we get 72 hours off. Typically, our daily routine starts about 8 a.m. and finishes 8 a.m. the next day. When we show up, we do a turnover with the previous driver. We talk about how the truck was working, if there's any issues with the equipment. After that, someone would do an alarm check. We do alarm tests of the crash alarm and of the house bells. And then we carry on with our daily inspections of each of the trucks. For the day, we carry on with inspections of the particular equipment that we have to check that day. Then later on, someone probably will go to the gym and we rotate through that. And then we also have weekly and monthly inspections for the crew to do. Each month, the crew is assigned an allotment of extinguishers, for example, to check every month. What else do we do in the day? We carry it with training exercises. We might do a medical exercise. We might do a tabletop pretend crash, and we'll have to position all our trucks and practice that. And then if we have time, or if somebody calls over and then they want to do, I don't know, just say welding on a roof, we call these hot work permits. So we would have to go over there, inspect the area, make sure their equipment is running properly, make sure they have extinguishers on site, and then we would issue them a hot work permit so that they can work for that day. Next slide. Manning. So at every fire hall, there's usually around 3 to 4 crews. At the Halifax International Airport, we work with 4 crews of 7. We have a platoon chief, a lieutenant, and usually 5 firefighters on crew. Next slide. Emergencies that we can respond to are a motor vehicle accident. So it has nothing to do with aviation per se, but because we, as the firefighters at the airport, we respond to everything surrounding the airport. If a motor vehicle accident in the parking lot per se, medical emergencies could be on an aircraft or at the terminal building or buildings surrounding the airport. We respond to structural calls, so like a fire alarm at the air terminal building or surrounding buildings. We can respond to fuel spills. We can respond to in-flight emergencies or an aviation crash. And there's so many other scenarios in between those that could happen. Next slide. Less than 5% of Canada's firefighters are women. In general, only 20% of all firefighters hold a career position, while the remaining 80% are volunteers. So that's a neat little fact. Next slide. that's all I have for this presentation. Thank you.
Wow. Sorry, I had a buddy join me. Well, I was really interested about your firefighting, so he wanted to come and watch. That was so interesting, Andrea. Like, I guess my first question is, like, how did you get into being a firefighter? Like, what was it that you were like, you know what, this is what I want to do?
I think it's probably, when I grew up, I had a twin brother and we were always compared. My dad would say, oh, you have to do the dishes, or my brother has to do this, you know, all the boy jobs. So I think like, I just knew that I didn't want to be in an office. I knew that I didn't want to be doing the sitting down at a desk, you know, from 9 to 5 as a typical, like being a nurse, like all my friends. Nothing against being a nurse or a teacher or anything. I just wanted something more physical, like I think to kind of prove to other people that I could do it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think there's a lot of that in aviation too, especially with women, right? We're all like, nope, I can do it. Prove you all wrong. Exactly. Okay, and then how long did it take you to become a firefighter? Like, is it a really long training process?
I was pretty fortunate. I joined the military right after high school, so I did my training with the military. But usually courses are like for level 1 and level 2 firefighting is about a year and a half to 2 years. And then you can go on and specialize in the other courses like hazmat ops, hazmat technician, courses like that. And then your medical courses could be up to 2 weeks for emergency medical responder.
Okay. And then are all firefighters also like EMTs or paramedics, or how does that work?
So usually the courses in the colleges have that included in their courses. They would do that like at the beginning of their course or the end of their course, but usually they would all have them as part of that one course.
Okay. Oh, that's so interesting. So there's got to be a lot of different kind of ways that you can, like your job, the day would go. Like you said, like some days are quiet at the firehouse, and I'm sure other days are complete chaos.
You don't want us to go to work. When we go to work, that's a very bad day for somebody. So
exactly. Okay. Oh, wow. That's so awesome. Well, I'm sure there's going to be lots more questions at the end. So we'll, whoops, I did not mean to put my hand up. So we'll save some more for then. And in the meantime, thank you so much, Andrea. And we will chat with you again here shortly. Okay. So now we're going to switch over to Tara. Tara, if you would join me back on video. There she is. So Tara is coming to us again from Halifax. She's the senior operations manager. She's the manager of all the things at the Halifax airport. So Tara, I will hand it off to you, and the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. Let me just get my screen. Can everybody see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So thanks for inviting me to join this conversation today. I'm excited to be here and share a bit about my team, myself, and the work that we do here at Halifax Stanfield. When a lot of people think of, operating an airport, they think of, keeping the lights on, keeping our mechanical and technology equipment up and running, our runways free of, ice and snow. And while all those things are very much a part of operating an airport, I did, towards the end of my presentation, wanted to share some of the other behind the scenes things that we do, sort of that human and people element that not a lot of people would necessarily equate to being a manager in operations or, having a role in operations. So today, I just want to give you guys a bit of an overview, a very short overview of Halifax Stanfield, so where we are and who we are. A bit about my education, my experience that sort of got me to this position here today. Some of the roles within my team, so the airport duty manager and airport service center coordinators, so sort of what they do and how that links into the overall operation of the airport. And then a bit of a behind the scenes sneak peek that I just mentioned briefly of some of those things that you might not be expecting that we do as part of our jobs here. And then I have a very 3-minute video of some of the other jobs and positions here at the airport, and then some time for questions. So Halifax Stanfield is located about 40 kilometers outside of Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is the capital of our province. We are the largest airport in Atlantic Canada, providing both passenger and cargo service clients with direct access across Canada, the US, Mexico, the Caribbean, as well as Europe and Asia. Pre-pandemic, we actually had about 4 million passengers a year. But as we all know, COVID-19 drastically impacted the airports and the aviation industry. So I'm very excited to say that I think this year we are looking at getting back to somewhat normal conditions here, and especially with the return of some of our routes and destinations to the US, Europe, such as London and Paris. So we're really excited. We're really excited for that. So a bit about my background and kind of how I ended up here. So I graduated in 2006 from Dalhousie University with a bachelor's degree in engineering. My focus was biological engineering, environmental option, and it was through a cooperative education program. So once I graduated there, I quickly went into a position in environmental consulting with an environmental engineering consulting firm. That really involved a lot of project management for a whole bunch of different groups. So gas, government, construction, manufacturing, with my primary focus at that time sort of being on environmental remediation programs, environmental site assessments and management, and some environmental auditing. So after 5 years there, I moved into a position here with the Halifax International Airport Authority as an environmental coordinator, where I was responsible for implementing and maintaining our environmental management system and providing environmental expertise to sort of ongoing and future projects. I was also responsible for conducting the airport's water quality monitoring, and then would respond to environmental emergencies as needed. After 3 years in that role, I moved into another position with our planning and infrastructure team, where I was responsible to manage a great deal of construction projects, both on our airfield, so runways and taxiways, as well as the public areas outside of the terminal building, so parking lots, parkades, water and sanitary systems. And this required a lot of contract management, budget schedule control, and a lot of coordination with our air carriers, NAV Canada, and some of our other key stakeholders here at Halifax. And then in 2018, I was promoted to this position as Senior Manager of Operations, which really I have the responsibility to ensure the safe and efficient airport terminal and airfield operations day over day. I have a team of enthusiastic and intelligent staff in the roles of airport duty manager and airport service center coordinators, which I'll touch on in the next few slides. In this role, my day-to-day is never the same. I'm responsible for everything from the financial integrity of my operating unit to providing operational expertise for ongoing and upcoming capital programs, and then just trying to work through some of the facility constraints that we might have here with our carriers. And again, I'll touch on a few of the sort of behind the scenes things that's part of this role that you might not have thought. So the first position is the airport duty managers. So these folks really need to keep their finger on the pulse of our operation at all times. There's 5 of them in total that provide on-site coverage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They're responsible to address and resolve issues that impact normal passenger flow, aircraft movement, or any other incident that might impact our reputation. They really are, I feel, an extension of myself. So, I rely on them quite heavily to keep me informed of anything that's going on at the airport that might impact our operation. They work very closely and collaboratively with our stakeholders, such as the Canada Border Services Agency, US Customs, CATSA, NAV Canada, really just everybody here. They're sort of that number that everybody knows to call when and if something goes wrong. They're also responsible to do our runway condition reporting. So that's, reporting to the pilots the condition of our runway surfaces. So are they wet? Are they full of snow? Are they icy? So they can make, the best decision, I guess, to land in Halifax. Airfield lighting inspections, they check for and ensure that we remain in tolerance with our regulatory requirements, that we don't have too many unserviceable or broken airfield lights on our runways and taxiways. They have specialized pyrotechnics training that allow them to do bird and wildlife mitigation, so that they can deter any bird or wildlife from our runway and taxiway services or surfaces, which could be hazardous to aircraft. And a whole other slew of responsibilities that I have listed there that are just a couple high-level things that they do in their positions as airport duty managers here in Halifax. The next group that sort of report to me and I'm responsible for is our airport service center coordinators. So there are 5 coordinators and the service center is staffed 20 hours a day, 365 days a year. And for those 4 hours a day that the service center isn't staffed, the airport duty manager manages the phone calls that would come into them. And the airport service center is largely responsible. They're really the central nervous system, I think, of the airport here. They're responsible for all flight management. So they assign all of the aircraft to and from the gates here in Halifax. They do baggage belt and check-in counter allocations. So really, you know, dividing up our resources the best way that they can so that everybody has the space and equipment that they need to do their job. They're also the main point of contact for internal and external customers to report service requests. So there could be a maintenance request for a burnt out light bulb, a cleaning request for, you know, a spill, or, you know, a kiosk could be out of paper. Of course, some are, you know, some maintenance requests are obviously more important than others, but, you know, that's just to sort of highlight. And so they would be responsible to issue work orders and triage those work orders to get those issues resolved. They also administer and execute our airside vehicle registration policy. So every vehicle that goes airside needs to be inspected and certified. So they do that. We do fit testing. So that helps to ensure that any new aircraft types like the 737 MAX or the, you know, A220 Neo or any new aircraft that we haven't had in Halifax before sort of fits with our bridges and our existing infrastructure in their operation here. And they operate, they monitor the baggage system here in Halifax for faults, which might involve a call to IT or security or a baggage system attendant so that our baggage system can be resume normal operations. So these are a couple of pictures of sort of the airport behind the scenes and some of the things that you might not think when it comes to day-to-day operations. So the first top 2 photos show an aircraft incident that happened here in Halifax. So while the airport duty managers and service center would have been initially responsible to activate our emergency operations center and man that station during the initial response, where ARF probably would have been deployed, where Andrea's team would have been deployed to put out any aircraft fire. The operations behind the scenes are working to activate our secondary runway, since this aircraft obviously can't be moved until it's safe to do so and all the appropriate individuals are advised. So it's really important from an operations standpoint that although you might have an incident like this, an aircraft emergency going on, you still need to be able to switch gears and maintain the business continuity and the remaining services at our airport. So that would be one of the things they'd be responsible for. The bottom left-hand photo is a picture of a cargo plane. We've only had it here in Halifax a few times. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, Halifax saw an increase in cargo operations here. So we didn't have a whole lot of passengers, but a lot of cargo, primarily transporting vaccines, test kits, humanitarian aid. So a lot of operations work behind the scenes to be able to make sure those large aircraft have a place to park and that they can be serviced here in Halifax without impacting any of our normal commercial carriers. The bottom right-hand corner, the bottom right-hand corner is a picture of a repatriation flight. So during, again, part of the COVID-19 pandemic, we had many Canadians that were stranded abroad. Halifax became a main airport for the Canadian government to help facilitate some of those repatriation flights to be able to get those Canadian citizens back home. This particular picture, however, was under unfortunate circumstances as the remains of a Canadian military member returned home following a helicopter crash at sea. So the team here in operations were heavily involved with coordinating this arrival to ensure sort of that respectful return home. And you can see the fire department here in Halifax giving a water salute to that aircraft as just a sign of respect and appreciation. This is sort of in the upper right-hand corner. This would show what the airport would look like sort of pre-pandemic. So we saw a significant change in our passenger traffic and numbers and priorities over the COVID-19, during COVID-19 in the past 2 years. We went from, a crowded terminal building to experiencing extensive cancellations, having to close sections of our terminal buildings so we could reduce costs with heating, cooling, electricity, and cleaning. So that was all facilitated largely through my department and my team. We had new federal and provincial border measures that required, our operations teams to respond with revised layouts for document verification, COVID testing on arrival, and these rules, of course, changed quickly and often, which gave us very little time to react and implement new requirements. So this was something that was quite key to the operations group over the last little bit. This is probably photos of one of my favorite memories here in operations, or just even in my career. So we got to be part of and coordinate logistics around the arrival of the NATO operated charter aircraft from Kosovo carrying 280 Afghan refugees that had fled Afghanistan and had been in Kosovo for quite some time, waiting for this flight to Canada. Well, initially the task seemed quite daunting, given language barriers and immigration requirements, and having an unscreened aircraft arrive at a terminal building and unscreened passengers. Everything went quite well, and you can see here, this is one of our airport duty managers in the lower left-hand corner. We were playing soccer with the children, coloring with them, which I have a picture of that as well, because the process to get through customs and to get through, public health was quite lengthy. So, this was just everything that we could do to support them, and then to just keep the children occupied, given the circumstances. And then there's, some things like holiday decor. So the operations team here, will also are responsible for the holiday decor. So every December, it's a great team building exercise. So every light, every tree that you see up in Halifax, that's all part of my team. And we're also really fortunate at times to work with some other groups here in the airport. Well, we work with them all the time, but on route launch events, so the logistics and operational support, this picture in the upper right-hand corner was specific to WestJet's launch to Paris a couple of years ago. So, we really got to participate in that and make sure that that whole event could still happen, sort of off to the sidelines, while still trying to operate the remainder and the rest of the airport. We help with the logistics of an annual runway run. We don't currently have that anymore, but that was huge for operations to, allow for a 5-kilometer run on a runway while still maintaining commercial and cargo operations. Everything from rescuing this elusive stray cat named Pilot that had been evading operations and bird and wildlife folks for a couple of months. So being able to capture him and hand him over to the SPCA is all just part of the day's work. And then sometimes we get to see some pretty accomplished individuals. So whether they be Olympic athletes or, Sidney Crosby, there's been, actors and other celebrities that we get to sort of hang out with and escort through our process in a role in operations that a lot of people probably never thought about. So I do have a brief video, and I know I've probably gone a little bit over on my time, but I'd still like to share it if that's okay.
I think you're good to go.
Okay. All right, so it's hard for me. I've got this, I'm trying to figure out how to make it bigger.
Pretty big, but I don't know if there's any sound.
You're not sure if there's any sound?
I'm not hearing anything. Maybe check your volumes up on the video itself. Yeah.
Okay, let me try it one more time. If it doesn't work, then that's fine. Can you hear that?
No, still no sound.
Okay, I'm not sure why that is. Last try. Will that work?
No, Joy.
Okay, all right. Well, we can always provide it and you can include it later. Sorry about that.
There was a little bit in the chat there. Somebody's being very helpful of saying if they go to those 3 dots and go into that and click share audio.
Okay, maybe we'll try this again.
There we go.
I'm Ken Bayers, supervisor, trainer, airfield maintenance for HIAA. I've worked for the airport now for over 30 years. 22 of that has been here in the garage. As the airfield supervisor during the winter months, I oversee 4 crews that are here and maintain the airfield for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm also responsible for purchasing of materials and anything we can do to support those guys, basically. Halifax Stanfield really is a place that connects people and goods to the world. None of that would happen without the safe and efficient operation of the airfield maintenance. We take great pride in being part of HIAA's new mission, accelerating the growth of our communities by connecting people and goods to the world.
Hello, bonjour. My name is Jennifer Delory Lyon. I'm the Airport Experience Advisor with the Halifax International Airport Authority. On a regular day, I could be working with inquiries that passengers may have. We also survey our passengers so we know what their experience is when they're traveling here at the airport. We also deal with our volunteers. They keep us busy, but every day is different. It's not always the same. So much of what I do every day involves people, from our passengers to our wonderful volunteers to our tenants to our broader airport community. We all play a role in creating a positive passenger experience, and our new vision is what puts people first. This is the key to achieving our goals, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Inspired people and partners creating Canada's best gateway airport.
My name's Andrew Bowman, and I'm a project manager here at Halifax International Airport Authority. Every day is different for me. I could be implementing design and construction for new facilities here at the airport. I could be solving a specific problem, installing a new chiller plant, putting the final touches on a tilt-up building, working on a new expansion. It varies. It's a very dynamic role. There's lots of different things I could be involved in here. When I consider the new corporate values, it's amazing to me how much they reflect the organization and the community that we're trying to create here at the airport. Acting today for tomorrow is one that stands out to me as being a good reflection of what it is that I like to do and what I think I can bring to the airport community. Environmental sustainability is very important. It's something I have a passion for, and knowing that I can come to the airport every day and work and make a difference in that respect means a lot to me. People matter, always safe and secure, the right thing to do, acting today for tomorrow, above and beyond, and together is better.
All right. That was awesome. What a cool video.
They do a really good job.
Yeah, they did. Well, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sarah.
Nope, that's all. I was just trying to turn my screen off.
Oh, well, thank you for trying, and to Lola for helping out in the chat there. That was fantastic. We all learned something new about Zoom today. So amazing. And I'm just out of curiosity, how many staff work underneath you for like the Halifax Airport Authority, approximately?
So there's 11 that would report directly to me, which is the 2 roles I primarily discussed. But you know, I work very closely with, you know, all, I'm going to throw a number out, 180 people that work here, right? So, but only 11 would be directly within my team.
Wow, that's a pretty good team, though. It's awesome seeing how many diverse opportunities there are at an airport. So thank you so much for your presentation. That was awesome. Thanks, Tara. I'm sure we'll have time for some questions for Tara at the end, but we have had our 3rd speaker, I think, has dialed in at least. Sarah, are you with us? Yay! Okay, she made it. Perfect. Okay. So I think Sarah is. Are you all ready to go? Technical side of things, we're ready to rock and roll.
Yes, I'm ready to go. So I will call my slides for you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Floor is yours, Sarah. And Sarah, of course, as you can see from the presentation, is with the government of Nunavut.
Hi, everybody. So first off, I just wanted to thank you all for coming to listen to all these amazing women speak about their careers in aviation. We've all taken different paths to get to where we are, but we all share the same passion for aviation. And just heads up, you're about to see a ton of picture of my kids. So you can switch the slides. Oh, do you want to switch to the next slide?
I know Emily has been having a bit of technical difficulties herself, so we'll see if hopefully.
Myself and Emily are not having a good day with this. I'm not sure if I can present PowerPoint, but I can give it a shot here.
Okay, nope, there it goes. It's switched now. There you go. Can you see it? Oh, now we're going too fast. There we go. I think it's working now.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Oops. So this is my screen. I'm doing it. We got the technical difficulties all day. So my name is Sarah. I live in Iqaluit, Nunavut. I'm a mom of 2 little girls. And while you listen, just keep in mind that I was able to get to where I am today while being a mom. And that is not easy if you have kids. I have had to haul my kids to an emergency operations center many times in the past. Did they come with me to work on their birthdays? More than once. Did my coworkers make it extra special and haul them around in airplanes and fire trucks? You bet, every single time. Did they love it? No, but we made it work where we could. So officially, my title is Change Management and Strategic Advisor to the Assistant Deputy Minister of Transportation. That's a really big title, but unofficially, I walk around and point at things a lot. In my current position, again, my title sounds really big, but I'm basically a problem solver and a project manager, and I specialize in airport infrastructure and logistics. On my plate right now, I'm part of a project team that is building 6 terminal buildings across Nunavut. It's my job to make sure that these terminals not only meet our passenger needs, but function well for those who work there, and also meet all regulatory requirements set out by Transport Canada. And that is a challenge in the north. All of our communities are spread out, and it's all connected by air. So we struggle sometimes, but we get there. Being in this position, though, I have had the opportunity to visit a lot of different communities throughout our territory and to speak with the people who use our airports every day. It's really important to me and my department that we build airports that will work in our unique environment. So now for the problem solver part. When COVID first came to our territory, we were faced with this super unique challenge. Our territory spans over 1.9 million kilometers, and all of our 25 communities are only accessible by air. My deputy minister tasked me with the job to figure out how in the world we were going to get tests from all of those communities to our only 2 labs in Nunavut. And we had to do it all in 72 hours. We were able to pull together a great team from our different departments, contractors, and we launched what we lovingly refer to as Swab Air. And you know what? We did it. It was a success. Everybody came together. It was incredible to see it happen. I couldn't be prouder of the team that we put together. So the big question, how did I get here? First, you need to know I am a total school nerd. I will take every single course I can. I love to learn. And in aviation, there's a lot of great places that you can start taking courses online if you don't want to leave your home community. For me, online worked better because I had kids at home. They were both small, and I couldn't just pack up and leave and, go to school somewhere. So I really did spend a lot of time with online courses, and I was able to do it while I worked, which helped. But at the start of my career, I started working part-time for First Air at the ticket counter here in Iqaluit. I loved being able to help passengers, see all the aircraft come and go, and we worked with an amazing family. And I will say airport world is honestly one big family. Sometimes we don't get along, but in my experience, it doesn't matter what company you work for, what position or title you hold. When it comes down to it, people are always willing to help and support each other. While I was with First Air, I was able to work as an operations agent. And what that is you work out in the back office and you have 3 or 4 different radios, your phone is going, you're on your email, and you're organizing everyone. So ramp staff, pilots, customer service agents, trying to get planes out on time and safely. And by the time I was done with First Air, I was a supervisor at the ticket counter. So from there, I was hired to work at the Iqaluit Airport here. And during that time, we were still in construction. So my job was to coordinate the move from the old airport terminal to the new airport terminal. And I was also responsible to make sure that everything functioned like it should in an airport. The staff knew how to use the new building. And we had to do our move in, I think it was like 8 hours overnight. So we got our last flight in on, I think it was a Thursday. Friday morning at 5 o'clock, we had to be up and ready to go. And surprisingly, our first flight went out on time. I don't know how we did it. But while I was there, I started taking more courses online in aviation, and that was supported by my employer. I was able to obtain my airport operations diploma, certificates in safety management, emergency operations, and project management. After we transitioned to the new terminal, I was hired on as the facilities and SMS coordinator. I was responsible for terminal operations and safety throughout the entire airport. And in aviation, safety is always our #1 priority. We talk about it all the time. Our goal is to always build a solid safety culture where everyone in the airport participates and feels like they're giving back and are part of the system. So while I was there, I also got to meet one of my greatest mentors. She pushed me to go outside my comfort zone, hauled me down from the clouds when I needed it. And without her support, I wouldn't be where I am today. She's also one of the Elevate mentors. So thank you, Kathleen, if you're here. So learning on the job, there's so many opportunities to learn on the job at airports, especially here in Nunavut. I mostly manage projects now, but every now and again, I get to go out in the field, and that's what I love the most. I have learned so many different skills from different people along the way, and they've all come together to help me get to where I am. Need a runway light changed? I'm your girl. You need help ground handling? I can do that too. Check-in line long? How can I help you? You want me to get a terminal built in 6 different communities with no roads in or out. All right, let's do it. We will teach you the skills that you need right at our airports. If you decide you want to pursue more education, we've got you covered for that. My department has scholarships available just for aviation programs. Let us help you get to where you're going. So we always have a little bit of fun along the way. We get to do so many cool things. At my airport, we see planes from all over the world. They stop for fuel. Some will stay for a while and do cold weather testing. Every summer, the German Air Force stops by to do a touch and go just to say hi. We get celebrities and royal visits. We get to watch families come together. And every now and again, we get to go for a ride in the fire truck, which is pretty cool. While I was with the airport authority, I also got to organize a lot of really cool events. So we did a plane pull that raised about $20,000 for our local food bank. And you can see that in the picture there on the bottom with the 2 planes. And that's me with a baby attached to my back, which was generally the way it works. We've got to do Santa visits. We did trick-or-treating at our airport. We've had Easter egg hunts in the terminal for families that have parents who work through the holidays. It can sometimes be hard because airports never shut down. So I used to try to do my best to bring festivities to the airport, to the people we worked with, to make sure they got to have a little fun too. So how can you fit in? Airports are like their own little communities. Here in Nunavut, our airports are small but very mighty. Iqaluit is an international airport and we see all kinds of planes from all over the world. To make this work, we have people from all different sectors come together. Electricians, store clerks, project managers, security officers, heavy equipment operators, and firefighters, just to name a few. We need everyone. Our airports don't work unless our teams work together. For me, I worked at the airport and I took online courses as I went along to develop my skills. I learned on the job from everyone who was willing to teach me. There are tons of great opportunities out there for everyone, however that works for you. I highly encourage you to find a mentor if aviation is your passion. We love helping each other. Our path may not be yours, but we are more than happy to help you on the way. So thank you for coming to listen to me talk about Nunavut airports. If anybody on the call is from Nunavut, you're interested in our scholarship program, please feel free, reach out. We would love to hear from you. We are super passionate about having our youth come and work in our airports. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Nicely done, Sarah. That was a fantastic presentation. I know we had a little technical stuff, but you just rolled with it. So thanks for being awesome. That's part of aviation, right? It's just you roll with the punches, right?
You make it work.
Yeah, I love that you talked about mentorship too. So Kathleen is a mentor with us, and you're going to be grandfathered in. For those of you that don't know, Sarah's actually been is one of our Inspire ladies moving forward. So really excited to be learning more about her and such in the future. So very exciting things to come. But at this point, I think there's probably some questions out there. We've got a bit of time for questions. We'll see if Shelly's ready as our moderator to take over and ask all these wonderful ladies some questions. So I'll leave it to Shelly. You're muted, love.
Hi guys, I'm Shelly Christian and located here in beautiful Prince Edward Island, so representing the Atlantic. Thanks for all the speakers, that was great, and it's great to see all the behind the scenes because I work in operations every day too at an airport, so it's nice to highlight everything we do. I do have one question for Andrea. I don't think there's any from the floor, so I'll just, if there's something that anybody wants to ask, please put in the chat and I'll get to it. But you did mention one thing which is always very unique to an airport, and you say crash alarm, which sounds really daunting. So what is a crash alarm?
A crash alarm is basically a red button that is pushed from the tower or from the fire station whenever a crash has occurred, or a last minute declared emergency from a pilot. That sometimes that might activate a crash alarm. The alarm goes off, the sirens go off, and it notifies the firefighters. And once it's activated, it'll open the doors for the crash trucks, because alarm could happen at 2 o'clock in the morning and when we're all sleeping. It'll open all the doors, so that's one, that'll save a couple seconds off your time so that we can respond to that emergency. And usually we need to respond to that fairly quickly, right?
Absolutely. And I know there's regulatory requirements to get there in a certain amount of time. So yeah, it's pretty, we never want to hear the crash alarm at an airport, absolutely, but we do know it does occur. And I guess we do have a question from the floor, and it leads right perfectly into this, is how many actual aircraft fires have you responded to, and maybe even any significant crashes?
I have not responded to an aircraft crash up to this point in 15 years. Because I was on a base as well. So I did structural and I did aircraft. But here at Halifax International Airport, I've responded to numerous in-flight emergencies. So that could be a flap not working on an aircraft, hydraulic leak. One time previous to Halifax, I responded to an in-flight emergency. It was really bad turbulence in an aircraft, and one of the passengers dislocated his shoulder. So it was an in-flight emergency, but when we got there, it was a medical emergency. So they happen.
And any actual aircraft fires? No.
Like smolder, like hot breaks, when for whatever reason, the aircraft has to land fairly quickly, they'll put on more brakes and they'll heat up, so that could cause a fire.
Exactly. Great. I guess I'm interested, from Tara and Sarah, you're both behind the scenes and work in airports, and what advice would you give someone who wanted to pursue a career in airport operations? And I'll leave that to both of you. I'll say Sarah first.
So just the way that my career went, I started working in airports at the ticket counter. I started taking online courses. I had small kids at the time, so it wasn't practical for me to go back to school. But reach out to a mentor. Elevate has a great program for that. We can show you where all those courses are. We can help you connect with the right people. If anybody here is from Nunavut right now and you're interested, reach out to me personally. I would be glad to show you the way. For us here in Nunavut, it's really difficult because to go to school, we have to go to a completely different province or territory. There's no aviation programming here, and that's hard for a lot of families. So we're doing pretty good with the online learning and partnering with other schools, we have a scholarship that we provide every single year. So it's all about, finding someone who can help you along the way and show you what works.
Yeah, so I guess for me, what I would say is when I first saw a job posting for the Halifax International Airport Authority, I guess I never really knew a whole lot about airports and I guess the role that airport authorities play. But what I can say is most of my team, similar to what Sarah just said, kind of started their career here with a ground handler or with an airline, and then have just sort of found their niche and then worked through and ended up with the airport authority. So certainly reach out to any resources you might have, but getting your foot in the door at an airport. And I know lots of airports and companies that work at the airport are looking for staff, part-time or otherwise. So certainly that would be a good way to kind of get in here and see what the future holds, I guess.
That's a great sales pitch, because even in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, this summer, we're gearing up for a busy one, and there's going to be lots of opportunities to get your foot in the door. My partners here.
I just want to add.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to add to what Tara said too. I think like coming into aviation world, you think in your head that you need some kind of specialized like airport degree or diploma or whatever, and you don't. We need electricians. If you're an electrician and you're an apprentice, come apprentice at our airports. We need you. You're working in mechanical systems, we need you. It's heavy equipment operators. There's so many trades that make up an airport. There's a ton of opportunities out there.
Yep, absolutely. I guess we're at the end here, Sophia. So if you want to close things out.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, thank you for bringing that up. Transferable skills are huge in aviation. That's definitely something I think we're all trying to say, hey, come hang out with airplanes. Doesn't matter what you do. We've got a job for you. So thank you so much to Tara, to Andrea, to Sarah, all of you, absolutely incredible. And of course to Shelly as our moderator today. And Emily's in behind the scenes. You guys don't really see her, but I'm going to shout out to her because she managed this even though everything was being crazy today. So really, really great to have all of you with us. To all of those watching and that will watch in the future, thank you for being a part of today. If you have questions, please reach out. The email's in the chat there, but it's just info@elevateaviation.ca, as well as go and check out our website and our social media. We're all over the place. We'd love to chat with you about some of the programs we have to offer and get you interested and maybe a little more involved in aviation. So thank you again, everyone, and have an amazing Friday and a great weekend. Bye, everyone.